Great to be back on the Smart Stage with you, and it's fun to be here at lunchtime, so I have a feeling we'll have lots of people grabbing boxes and coming over. I know many of you. I'm excited to be on the Smart Stage for my third time, but for those of you, third year, those of you who I haven't met personally, let me give you a 20-second bit of my background. I have been where most of you have been. I am a 30-plus year practitioner in human resources, and I have always been in the world of HR departments of one. Little businesses. How many DOOs do we have here? Yay, great. All right, well, hopefully you saw Jennifer's, I think, this afternoon. There was somebody yesterday, and I'll be presenting tomorrow morning. So hopefully we'll see you all at those events for the departments of one. I started in a family business, ended up doing my own HR consulting company that I was able to grow to be 6 full-time employees and about $1 million in sales. I then sold that company to Arthur J. Gallagher. Do a lot of you know Gallagher Benefit Services, Arthur J. Gallagher? They bought my consulting company, and I stayed on for 7 more years working for them, running their small business consulting division. I left in 2013, and this is what I do now, and I love it. I go to state conferences, national, I come inside corporations and work with associations of all sizes, sharing HR knowledge. So, what are we doing here today? Why do I call this topic Compliance Conundrum? I have been presenting this since last November. I think we all know why last November this came up as an important topic. And whenever there is a change in administration, there's going to be all sorts of things changing. This presentation keeps evolving literally day by day because it keeps changing. So the presentations are on the download. However, when I looked at my iPad, there was stuff not there. They didn't quite go in right or something. So if you want a copy of this presentation, just leave a business card on the stage and I will get it to you. No problem. Okay, so let's talk about what is going on in 2017 that we know for sure. This is what people feel in terms of enforcement is going to be their issue in 2017. We see about 35% of the cases HR people are dealing with coming out of the Department of Labor. The EEOC is about 26% of the enforcement. Why the Department of Homeland Security? Who said that? Yay, immigration. So, I am originally from Chicago, Illinois. Anybody from Chicago? Oh, lots of you. So, I am lucky enough now to live in Naples, Florida. But whenever I present, I give away the only thing that Macy's allowed us to keep when they bought Marshall Fields, and that is Frango Mints. So, it's much easier in live presentations because I come down and actually pass them out. But good, yes, immigration. So the Department of Homeland Security is going to be in your business. And then the National Labor Relations Board like we've never seen before. So the 6 issues that I have been talking about for the last 6 months or so that we as HR and business professionals really need to watch for are these. The Department of Labor we just got our Secretary of Labor. Secretary Acosta was sworn in at the very end of April. So the poor guy's been in office, 6 weeks? And he's already got people saying, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? There are lots, though, of appointments still to be made within the Department of Labor, which is what creates this conundrum for us, because we don't really know exactly what to do. The other areas we're going to go in depth into independent contractors, immigration, state and local law, paid time off, and then general policies you need to think about. Oh, so the slides didn't come out great here either. So the Department of Labor, What we know they are now navigating is the tug of war between employee needs and reduced regulations. The current president has set a mandate to all of his departments that for every regulation they want to create, they have to get rid of 2. So we don't really know right now how that's going to shake out. As we talk about the next few minutes, you will see all the things that the Department of Labor, although it is going to be run by Republicans, is very employee-friendly still. And that's the tug of war that they're working on. The Secretary of Labor that has been appointed has never really worked in business. He has a lot of deep legal background. He has been on the NLRB. And he is saying some things that are more employee-friendly than some of the other nominees we might have expected. We do know that he has just rolled back some of the difficult definitions we were dealing with for independent contractors. The definition of exempt, non-exempt employees is not changing. It's the same definition we've always had. What we do know is the overtime rules are still on the table. Now, they're not being enforced, but what I have read and what I heard yesterday, anybody know the number that might be on the table for the next year or so that we're going to see those regulations come in on? Anybody have a guess? Candy, you don't have to eat your sandwich first. Anybody? Want to pick a number? Yes, ma'am. 36,000. All right, Jamil says 36,000, and she is darn close. I have heard Secretary Acosta say that he thought it was in the 32 to 33,000 range. Yesterday, Tammy from Letter Middleton, what's her law firm's name? She's wonderful. And she knows all about wage and hours. She thinks we're going to settle out between 35 and 38,000. But that is a workable number. There's also been acknowledgement from the Department of Labor that independent contractors are vital to business survival today. So we think they're going to back off a little bit on all of this independent contractor stuff. Immigration, we know, is a hot spot for our current president. He was not shy about that during the election. He continues to talk about it. So make sure that your I-9s are completed and up to date. I just spoke at an association last week, and I was talking to someone in the trade show about it. I spoke to 60 business owners about HR stuff. And at the end of the meeting, 10 people out of 60 came up to me and said, "What's an I-9?" I said, "What? What? What do you mean, what's an I-9?" So I am giving them a complimentary webinar next month on what an I-9 is and how to complete one. I said, this is just my goodwill for America. There is no fee for this, but your members are in big trouble if they don't even know what it is. Make sure, does anybody here rely on the H-1B visa program? Oh, we got one person. Oh, I don't know if I can throw that far. Woman in the black and white check, just watch out, because we're going to try. Or would you like to get a candy after? Come up after. The woman in the jean jacket is owed one candy. That looked dangerous. Make sure if you're doing the H-1B visa program, that you are in tune with the changes. They're ratcheting up the salaries you have to provide and some of those kinds of things. And then there's state law. And for many of you, local law. When I was still in Chicago, there was an Illinois minimum wage, there was a Cook County minimum wage, and then the fine city of Chicago passed a minimum wage. So you have got to make sure that you are staying in tune with all of your state and local laws. I see that because so little is getting done in Washington, D.C., having nothing to do with what side of the aisle you're on, the states are taking it into their own hands. So really make sure that you're tuned into a great resource to stay on top of that for yourself. Let's talk paid time off. Another thing that during the election, it was very vocal that the Trump family, primarily spearheaded by his daughter Ivanka, really was determined to get paid time off on the books. Now, that is something you would not normally see from a Republican-based president or congressional office. But this is so important to them, I think we all need to assume it's coming. The question is, how is that going to impact your organization? How many people have one PTO bank? Oh, not as many as I might have thought. So that's something that we have to look at. How is paid sick time going to get impacted by that? Paid maternity, who knows? Anybody know how paid maternity is getting to Congress's floor? It's there right now. And most Americans have no idea. Trump put it in his budget. In the budget, there is a mandate for 6 weeks of paid maternity leave. Now, we haven't had a budget through Congress. I think the number I heard yesterday was 12 years or something. I guess they just keep saying, pay the bills. I don't know. But it's in there. So 6 weeks of paid maternity leave is likely coming. What is interesting about it is that what's in the bill today looks like unemployment and workers' comp. Anybody know what I mean by that? Nobody? Yes, ma'am. It's what? Oh, a percentage of pay. Not quite, but you can come up and get a candy afterward. Anybody else? It's rate-based. So I can throw to. I can catch you. Okay. What it is they're saying, like unemployment and workers' comp, it's going to be mandated by the federal government, but regulated by the states. We have seen how well that has worked with the Affordable Care Act, haven't we? So that's the way they're doing it. That they're saying it's going to be part of the budget, but it's not going to be funded by the federal government. Now, the one thing that has changed that is on my new slides, so for those of you who joined us, if you want a copy of the updated slides, just leave me a business card at the end of the program and I will get them out to you, is comp time. It is amazing that comp time is being fought in Congress because employees want it. Those of you who don't know, the government can give comp time to employees, but private employers cannot. Who knows why? Anybody know why the government is fighting it? There's one 4-letter word. Anybody? The word would be taxes. If we give comp time to employees, what happens to federal income tax, to Social Security, to Medicare? Nobody is paying taxes on that time. And so the government, I saw the number $3 billion it would cost the U.S. government if we allowed for comp time. So I am not going to ask you to raise your hands if you do comp time anyway. Lots of the people I work with do. But you want to give that some thought and watch it as it's coming through Congress. So all of this goes to updating your policies and making sure that your employee handbook matches not only the compliance conundrum, and some of these things would be hard to put in writing, but also what you're actually doing. We know from all compliance-oriented court cases that if your handbook says you're going to do A and you do B, the handbook is not worth the paper it's written on. And I mean that for one little policy, because the unemployment adjudicator that we all sit in front of and say this is a waste of time, because of course the employee is going to get unemployment, will say to you, well, why would the employee have expected you to comply with issue A when you weren't enforcing issue B? So be really careful. The policies that I like to encourage people to consider for the new millennial, if you will, are these kinds of things. Concerted protected activity really is what the NLRB has been very hot on the last 8 years. Now, it's our hope that because the NLRB is about to move to a Republican-leaning body, that may back off a little bit. But you want to make sure that your handbook, for instance, you're not allowed to say employees cannot discuss pay with each other. That is absolutely illegal. You want to make sure that you have a bring your own device policy. How many people have bring your own device policies? It's what I see everywhere. About 10% of the audience. 100% of you need BYOD policies. So go back and write them. I don't know. Implicit bias, our new lingo for discrimination and harassment. But it really is what it's all about. We're all biased whether we want to admit it or not. Social media policies, and then of course we've talked about state and local laws. So with that, one of the things that I have over here, I guess I didn't have the slide in here that I do in my longer programs about how on earth do I stay on top of all this. One of the things I brought, I actually got this idea from SHRM 2 years ago. They used to have these in their booth and they don't bring them anymore, so I made them. These are important HR compliance dates. So I have a stack of them over here. If you want one, feel free to take it. When to post your OSHA log. When's your EEO1 due? She doesn't want to wait. She's afraid we might run out. We've got, but grab them. So they're there. If you don't get one, again, leave a business card and I can send it to you electronically. I have to run to the SHRM teaching, the test prep thing, but tomorrow I will be over there doing a book signing. I brought one of my books. Oh gosh. All right. If there's a run on them, I can get you more. So, but leave a business card if you want information from me, or you can go on my website. It was great, everybody. I look forward to being connected with you. Bye-bye.